It's worth saying actually, a lot of you are preparing for interviews to go to art college, whether it's sending in portfolios or going in person. That doesn't stop throughout your art career. You know, Paul has had to bring his concept, his idea to a panel. And I think there were 6 of us.
Yes, that's right. You know, it's like going into The Apprentice.
Yeah, it's tough, and you do have to be able to talk about your ideas, you know, confidently, and be able to field questions from a panel, just as you will be at art college. It does continue at lots of different stages.
Yeah, I think it's something that comes, you know, and you know, it is believing in what you do. It is trying to believe, and never apologise. Never apologise for anything. Never say, "Oh, this is rubbish," because it's not. Okay, you did it, and you're worth more than that.
Excellent.
Right. Oh, here we go. So this is quite a recent piece too. This is a heron. Okay. This is for the RSPB, Royal Society for the Protection. I always think of prevention of birds. Royal Society for Protection of Birds, and it's down on the marshes, fairly near where I live. And yeah, that's all it is. It's a very large heron, and this is made out of all reclaimed timber, and it's been painted grey. And it's the most beautiful location for this very stark beast, really. I mean, I love herons. I think they're absolutely majestic creatures. They're so prehistoric when you actually see them, you know, flying along the sky. They remind me of something that should have been in existence billions of years ago, and they haven't changed. But they are wonderful things. And again, for any commission, you have to actually present an idea. Nobody in their right mind is going to say, "Oh, he's a sculptor, let him do something," or he's an artist, let him get on with it. They'll want to see what you're going to do. So I produced some series of some little maquettes again. Here's one. Here's a heron. Okay, this is made out of foam board and sprayed, and it's a lovely idea, really, you know. And I've got several more at home. I've got quite absorbed in making a whole series of little herons. These are maquettes, known as maquettes. They're little models, and that gives the viewer, gives the commissioner, an idea of what they're going to be installed for. Now, when you go for commissions, now this is an interesting point. A lot of people that you might be in front of don't know anything about art. They don't, you know. I mean, Fiona does, obviously, you know, but a lot of other people might not. So you have to convince them, and I think one of the I had a couple of people who were in support of this, and a couple of people who weren't in support of this, and one of them particularly said, "Won't it terrify the birds?" Well, not really, no. You know, or won't it terrify the people? Because this is in such a lovely location, it does suit the location. And there was another one here, which I sort of experimented. When I was talking to you about working with the materials, this has collapsed a little bit. I was envisaged making this heron out of strips of wood, which would have been lovely, so you can get the air through it and things like that. But sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work out. And when I actually embarked on this idea, practically it wasn't. It's a little bit like a boat, but all things that don't work out, there must be a reason for it. And maybe it wouldn't work in this context, but I might be able to use it for another one. So it'll go on the back burner somewhere. So that's the little things you try out. Not everything you do is going to be successful. Okay. But I came up with that one. They liked it, and that is now in place. But it is a lovely location. That.
How tall is it?
Again, this is about 12 foot. I seem to be this optimum size. About, you know, I love making maquettes, but it is scales of things I do like.
That's at least as tall as this room.
As tall as the room. Oh yes, yes, it is.
That's one scary heron.
That's huge. You don't appreciate the scale from the side.
You find that when you actually put work outside, it does shrink in size remarkably. If I was to, if you can imagine, this is something we're going to talk about tomorrow when we actually start to make some sculpture. You're going to have to think about scaling this piece of work up, which what you're going to make. And you're going to actually have to imagine this being right out in the middle of the countryside or in the middle of the field. Nothing, no reference points at all. And you'll realise that you do have to make them big. Otherwise they can look silly if they're too small. They really can. And it's quite a scary thing once you actually embark on this idea of a piece of sculpture being bigger than you. But once you've got over that, then yeah, okay, so 12, 14 foot, it might sound very tall, but when it's outside, it'll probably be just about right. And not too, I mean, I love to see big sculptures in the right place. I love to see art in the right place. Okay, and I think it's so important that the environment, it reflects the environment that it's in. There's so much art about which I don't think does look right. Okay, but this is part of our rich tapestry, I suppose. Yeah, but when I do make pieces of work, it is within great consideration of the environment. So much so. That's why the heron, I consider, does fit in so well there. Some people might not agree with me.
How many of you saw a heron at Tilbeck? There was a heron there. A few of you didn't. Well, exquisite.
That's another view of it.
Yeah, you can appreciate the height there a little bit more on that one, can't you?
Yeah. Right, okay. I've started making a lot of rabbits. Hares, really. And these are slightly larger than life, but I mean, has anybody heard of Barry Flanagan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, worth looking up. Worth looking up. He does enormous hares. These are smaller, but I quite. He does different ones.
Front of the Royal Academy summer show last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. There's some up there, and there's some in Cork Street, I think, in the gallery there.
Yeah.
And he's got some up in I think it's Christ College, Cambridge, a whole load around there, which are particularly beautiful. But as I said, the first sculpture I did, that was based on the hare, and I've kind of gone full circle again. And I've been making these particular pieces out of reclaimed wood, but on a much smaller scale. Much smaller scale. These aren't 12 foot, they're about that big when you actually think about it. And I'm just making a whole series of those. So that is my own little indulgence at the moment. I haven't got anywhere particular for them to go, but maybe the odd open exhibition here and there, but nothing definite. So really, it's the sort of thing I do when in between commissions and things, just to keep my hand in, just to actually think about ideas. And I've got lots of ideas regarding these hairs, where I can put them, because they're so animated. There's something very animated about the pieces which I like. And something quite peculiar, there's something quite human about these hairs, actually boxing hairs in March time, particularly standing on one leg. I do like to kind of push the boundaries a little bit. And I'm making one at the moment, which is actually same part of the series. And I'm making a sphere at the moment, and it's a round sphere made out of wood, and that's taken ages to do, funny enough. It's all made out of it. And the hairs goes on the top of that. And there's going to be little hairs sticking out, actually that type of hair sticking out of the wood. Has anybody heard the saying, it's only the hair on the gooseberry that stops it being the grape? No, well, this is the pun that's going to be part of this series of works out here. One of the things about making work, it should be, for me, it should be fun. If I start to get too serious about it, it's got to be have a playful quality about it. I can start to get too serious about it. The subject can be serious. The subject can be absolutely deadly serious. But it's the way that you use the materials should be quite playful. And I need to have that playfulness when I make my stuff. Okay.
I love the posts or the plinths.
Well, these were two old bedsteads, apart from I got given a load of bed heads, which I was able to break up, and these posts, and I made the bases to go on them, and they were just sprayed black, so they really weren't quite well. There they were. Again, this is all reclaimed wood from my little house, which I'm making stuff. There's another one. So very simple, made in planes, just cutouts and screwed on at the odd angle, and waxed, and had some wax and wood stain put on them.
Fantastic.
That's it, is it? Right, fine. So really, that gives you a rough idea of a variety of styles which I actually use, a variety of techniques.